just start by where you stand on the COVID list going into today?
COVID update. We have 2 players that will go on the COVID testing positive list today. KZ has tested positive, and Connor Williams. We also have a few players that are being looked at right now that have other illnesses and may not practice. One for sure is Trayvon Diggs.
And what is Dick's situation?
He has an illness. He has an illness, yeah.
But not related to COVID?
Correct. Non-COVID, I guess.
Donovan Wilson left practice early. Is he COVID related or is it something else?
Something else, yes.
What is this issue?
Groin injury.
When you have this, it's not unusual to have a run at a position because of how the groupings are. What will you do now at safety, because you're obviously pretty thin?
Well, we're in the contact tracing mode, so we're working through that. But like anything that's been part of this process, we take it very serious. So we're looking at alterations to our schedules and making sure our meeting places are the best they can be. So we will start to alter our schedule starting tomorrow.
Any higher level of concern for you today versus yesterday, just based on the growing list?
Well, we've had one more really since yesterday. KZ was in that in between status, so he now is not, and then Connor tested positive. So ever how the contact tracing goes, and we're going to play the high side of caution just like we have with everything. So we take it very serious, and we'll do what we need to do.
How will you alter the schedule going forward?
More of a virtual component tomorrow.
If this thing continues to, outbreak continues, has there been any talk about do you play Sunday and things like that? I know you have you guys in the roster.
Yeah, we're planning on playing on Sunday. I'm just focusing on what we need to accomplish today on the field, especially getting out in the heat. It didn't go very well for us yesterday. I think it's part of it was expected. Practicing in the heat for the first time, so we need to do a much better job of that. But also, we're short in certain areas, so we got to be smart the way we practice. We're also introducing the in-season Wednesday schedule for the first time, so I want to get through that today. So for the most part, we've been able to accomplish that this morning. So still trying to keep us on target for what we wanted to get done this week.
Do you anticipate any of the players who are in it right now, or Dan Quinn for that matter, are they in a time frame where they could be back and do something for the Jacksonville game if you need them?
I'm not sure. Everybody's status is different based on the level of testing. There's so many variables to this. So I just operate on day by day and make sure that everybody's getting the support that they need. The classification that they're in. But yeah, I don't have timelines for each individual.
Mike, you mentioned introducing the in-season Wednesday schedule. How different will it look from last year's in-season Wednesday schedule, or is it pretty much?
To you?
To me and to you.
Yeah, it would look a lot different to me. We're doing offense, defense meetings before special teams meeting. That's a huge change for everybody. But just little things like that. So it's more getting the organization of what the meetings look like, how they're broken down, how much time you spend with a group, individual. So just things that. It's why you have exit interviews. It's why you look at things in depth right after the season's over. Because to me, I always felt that the way you train your team, the way you practice your team, the way you meet your team, it's part of the competition. So we just want to make sure we get that introduced, and so come next week, it's pretty much a review.
Will Donovan Wilson practice today?
He will not.
The nature of his groin injury in terms of severity, do you guys have a sense of?
I don't have a sense. No, he won't practice today. So.
The opener's 2 weeks from tomorrow. Mike asked this yesterday, but just kind of again today. With the way this is developing, you still feel pretty good about things getting back a little better before that opener?
I don't know what better means. This is the climate that we're in. The great thing is we have experience at it. So I think clearly when the adjustments are made throughout the football operations, we have clear options. We have plans that have been used. We move from one segment of, normality to, half virtual, half in, in working inside, based off what we're trying to get done that day. So, we're prepared to handle this, so we're very fortunate with our facility that, the spacing of it, it's not a challenge. So we've been able to adjust meetings seamlessly, because at the end of the day, you want the flow and the continuity of a work day to not affect the players, and I feel that has not happened.
Will your stay days or your walkthroughs change at all because of what's been going on?
Well, I mean, we're scheduled to have a stay day tomorrow, but we won't, we won't have that. So, but the on the field work will stay pretty much the same as the goal.
Having only 4 safeties at practice, how does that change the flow of practice?
Well, it's a challenge. I mean, the whole secondary is short, so we'll regulate that. But there's some things we need to get done. So we have a full practice slated, and if I need to adjust it while we're out there, I will.
What's the benefit of practicing in the heat?
The benefit?
Yeah.
Well, the reality of it is we're gonna compete in it. So I mean, it's an arena that we need to be, comfortable in, get ready for. So I mean, it's more the mental and the focus component that I'm after. These, I have great confidence in our players and how they prepare, as far as the hydration and so forth. But I think, like anything, there's a newness to it. I know we live here. We all understand the climate, but we have not. Yesterday was our first practice that's been that hot in quite some time. So I'm hoping to get as many attempts as possible in that heat before we go to Tampa.
What will Greg Zerline do in practice today?
He's going to kick. I mean, I'm not I don't know exactly how number, but we're going to work back through his regiment to hopefully so he can kick Sunday.
How did Cooper look yesterday?
Cooper had a solid day. I wouldn't say it was our best practice. We had. We had a lot of things going on, up front. But I thought he had a solid day.
We focused on the COVID, but do you feel pretty good about all of the players who are coming back off of injuries that you've managed through training camp, where they are to be ready to go for the opener?
You're talking about from last year?
Yeah.
Yes, I feel that the rehab process has definitely been tilted, to the side of caution, and I think we're seeing the benefits from that now. Like anything, I try to get more time with those guys together. I'm a little, focused on the offense group because they haven't had a lot of time, together as the first group. So, Dak will do more today, so he'll be closer to a full status, of any time that he's been since his injury. So that'll definitely help.
I think yesterday he did group pass. Is there more in addition to that he'll do today? Competitive throwing?
Yeah, he's going to do some competitive throwing today.
Is that 7-on-7?
Yes. Yep.
Mike, this fourth preseason game, obviously you've been playing some of the younger guys a long time. Can you name a guy who you can, top of your head, who you went into the game saying, we just need to keep our other guys from getting hurt, and just jumped up and you said, boy, we better take a longer look at this guy, and that guy made your 53, not your practice squad? Since you've been a head coach and had input into the roster, for a guy who you said, wow, we overlooked this guy.
I mean, should I be laughing right now or what?
No.
I mean, why would I answer that question here today?
He doesn't mean this team, he means.
Oh, yeah, no, just in the past.
In the past.
You just-
Going into the fourth game?
Yeah,
Oh.
you jumped up and you said, wow, this is not what.
I think Jay Kumaro was one of those guys in Green Bay. Tim Boyle, quarterback. I'm just going back through the years. It wasn't the fourth game, but Matt Flynn was a guy that just kept building, as he went through. I'm trying to think of some of the defensive guys. Sam Shields, when he was, free agent receiver from Miami. So, no, it happens. Because I thought you were trying to get into my fifth. I've been spending a little time in the personnel department lately, so I'm a little sensitive to the pre-53 list. So.
I don't tell players.
Where are the conversations like? What are those conversations like, without going into obviously details about comprising this 53-man roster and just the back and forth of what keeping one guy means for keeping another?
I mean, from my perspective, I just want to make sure they all get the opportunity. So, I mean, I want to make sure that, we have all the information, Now, we're fortunate that not only did we have the 4th preseason game, but our younger players have played excessively, throughout the preseason. So I feel like we're in good shape there. So, but I think it's like it's in every place I've ever worked. I mean, you have a personnel department opinion, you have a coaching department opinion, and you have the finance component of it too. So I mean, all those things have to come together, and you make the best decisions that you can.
Mike, before Donovan's injury, where was he impressing you most in training camp?
Well, just that he's back, coming off, he had some things he was working on coming out of the off-season program. So, I thought he was definitely one of the bright spots of our defense last year. So, he's leadership was growing. He's I love the way he plays. He's an impact player. He's made impact plays for us last year. I mean, he's definitely the description of playing aggressive to the ball, taking the ball away is what you're looking for in the secondary. So. I guess the biggest thing I've been impressed with him is just to see his leadership grow. He's elected to the player council, so I think that speaks volumes of how he's viewed inside of our football operations.
The audition didn't do as much in team drills yesterday. Was that just about getting guys ready for the 4th preseason game, or what was the thinking there?
Really, a lot of it had to do also what we're working on. I mean, there's certain things that we wanted to get reps on. There's some plays, particularly not just last week's game, but last week's we had the same type of practice, the blue and white practice. Yesterday's practice was similar to the blue and white, so there's some install things that we wanted to get with Connor, and frankly, Connor had a couple things in the game that we wanted to make sure he got repped again. So there's a number of moving parts and how guys lined up yesterday.
When you have a nucleus that has been together for a while, like this offense has, but hasn't had a lot of time on task leading up to a game, how does it allow you to accelerate or get ready? Are you able to jump over some fundamentals or some things you would normally do, or do you always start right there and just build back?
Well, I think that's why you have camp. That's why you practice together. I think the continuity of the fundamentals is critical, and I think that's been reflected in September football since 2011, in my opinion. I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but the lack of training camp, lack of time together, to me, has showed up around the National Football League in September. I don't think the football is as good as it was prior to 2 CBAs ago. So, but with that, as a standard that we all create through our own personal experiences, I mean, that's something I try to look to. So, it's a challenge when your guys don't spend that time together, whether it's in your practice structure or in preseason games. I think that's why the quarterback position is so important to your practice structure, because of the intensity and the tempo and all that. And I've been very fortunate with the quarterbacks I've had in the past, and definitely here with Dak. I mean, they bring a whole different energy and a competitiveness to your practice structure, and you have to have that, because I always felt that was such a key to get the continuity and the regularity that you're looking for.
Mike, we saw Dak early on in camp kind of lobby to do more before he had the shoulder deal. How's he been through this? Has he kind of tried to lobby to, hey, can I do more? Can I get into this more?
I definitely. He's a cage lion. I mean, he's a competitor. It's just really not the same answer for David. I mean, he brings that competitiveness and and expertise to not in the quarterback position, but he makes the whole practice better because the way he approaches it, and just his warm up before practice is game like. So he treats it the way you'd love to see all your players treat it, and he's definitely one of the examples you use for the young players.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, but